This morning, our special series, A Work Shift, looks at how working remotely during this pandemic has helped fuel the movement of city dwellers to more rural areas. I like how that graphic changes. According to the U.S. Postal Service, nearly 16 million people moved during the pandemic, some for family, some for financial reasons, while others just wanted more space and they wanted to be closer to nature. Mola Lenghi takes us on a journey into New York's Hudson Valley to see what's drawing people from the big city and how the new arrivals are transforming the region.
The pandemic permanently shifted not only the way some people think, but the way we work. More than 200,000 New Yorkers moved out of the city just last year, many of them planting new roots in upstate New York. That's where we're headed, to check out the new work normal. Our first stop is Barn Fox. It's a co-working space that's seen its membership jump since the pandemic began. It's like a little getaway outside the big city.
It's a space to work. It's also a space for people to connect. So we envision this future of movement away from the urban landscape to a more rural landscape.
So pandemic hits, how does that impact, how does that accelerate what you guys are doing?
At first, it slowed down because nobody knew what was going on.
There was uncertainty.
Yeah, but after a few months, more people were moving to the area and needed a place to work, so it definitely sped up the process.
We were just getting an influx of memberships coming in, so we knew that we were sort of in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, timing seemed to be kind of perfect, right?
Yeah.
The pandemic and time away from the city had in fact changed me. And I think I just got clear that I was looking for a different balance.
I left the city. I had always thought about being somewhere with more green space and closer to nature.
Was the pandemic kind of the catalyst for you moving out here?
Yeah, I had thought about moving out of the city for years, but planning a move and figuring out where I was going to move to just never happened until the pandemic.
Kingston, New York is about 100 miles north of New York City. Home prices here jumped 18% just in the last 2 years. Compare that to the national average of 4%. It's the largest home price jump in the country.
I'm the head of the upstate real estate team. 90% of the clients that we work with are either coming from the city, moving up here, or they're second homeowners who primarily live in the city and then we're selling their homes for them.
With the increased demand means that home prices, property prices have increased as well.
Yep. Yeah, they have from July of 2020 to July of 2021. Ulster County, where we're driving through right now, the increase was a little over 20%.
20% in prices?
Median, yep.
Wow, I mean, that's significant.
It's huge.
I mean, that is a delicate balance of trying to maintain the characteristic and the personality of this place because 100%. It's such a unique personality.
Well, 100%. And the people who are most interested in preserving the open space and the environment and all these things are the least likely to want there to be additional housing built, and that's what exacerbates the affordable housing issue. Oh my God, you're so good at this.
Thank you.
No,
thank you. I appreciate it. No, thank you. And thanks for putting up with my driving. I don't have a driver's license. I just made all that up, so. For nearly 100 years, this was the general store here in Woodstock. Now, it's Hurano Market, which is helping to diversify the culinary and grocery options here in the Catskills. But for some, it's much more than just a store.
When we come here, we belong here. We feel like it's like home, second home.
We have Asian groceries in the front of the market, and then in the back, I'm essentially putting out Filipino food inspired by my grandmother.
There was a void in this community that you're filling.
Absolutely.
But also showing up to a store where you see yourself reflected. More than the physical grocery items, I think that's a void that people are responding to, that we're here.
Yeah. Also bringing to light the people who have been here, the queer folks, the Asians that have been living just down the road and no one really knew about it. Yeah, and
people have cried in our store. Just started actually multiple people
happens all the time.
Have just started literally crying, and that's not about the food that they're eating or the groceries.
It's that good.
Yeah, this is so good. But it's all of it. It's the smell.
Right.
It's the experience.
During the pandemic, there are very few things that are unilaterally good, and Hurano Market opening is one of them. During the rise of anti-Asian hate, it became a really vulnerable moment where you needed that sense of community.
The space has really become a meeting point of sorts as much as you can during COVID, safely meet. So part of us is creating an inclusive space for all of our neighbors,
Yeah.
those who have been here for a long time, those who are new, and maybe they can spark conversations as well amongst themselves.
New neighbors finding their way to give back. One thing we learned on this trip, the pandemic has shifted some people's mindsets, pushing folks outside, closer to nature, to find more balance. That's one word we keep hearing, balance. Perhaps that's easy to find in a place like this. For CBS This Morning, Mola Lenghi, Catskills, New York.
Mola, you can't take your eyes off the road. Come look at the camera.
I'm a city boy.
But I did like the way that he did the interview talking to the lady when they were driving. Of course, he does have
He does.
a license. What you saying?
I was
you're a
saying,
city boy?
yeah, and you guys, we all live in the city. I was born in New York City, but whenever I see pieces like that and I visit friends, like my sister lives in Rochester, I'm like, could I?
Nice.
Do you guys ever feel that way?
All the time. I would.
Well, I've always
Really?
lived in the suburbs until I moved to the city. I love the suburbs. I love having grass. I love having a yard.
That's more than the
I love
suburbs.
having
That's
a
rural.
community.
What's that term they had? Barn fox?
I like it.
Barn
But
fox.
what I
you have
like-
fake grass in your
Who's got
backyard.
a barn? I'll be your barn
You don't
fox.
even have real grass.
I like the kindness of the people there. That's what I like more than
Yes,
anything.
yes, but
They were
space.
just so nice.